It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the Class Day Speaker of 2019. Dr. Hanna-Attisha is an Associate Professor of Pediatrics and Human Development at Michigan State University, as well as the founder and director of the Hurley Children's Hospital Pediatric Public Health Initiative, a program aimed at mitigating the long-term consequences of the Flint water crisis. Dr. Hanna-Attisha is best known for her groundbreaking work in collaboration with epidemiologists, community members, and government officials to reveal that the children of Flint, Michigan were being exposed to life-threatening levels of lead in their tap water. She has been a tireless advocate for her patients, with her work serving as a powerful testament to the paramount importance of persistence and teamwork, all while balancing the responsibilities as a physician, a citizen, and a mother. For her role in bringing the Flint water crisis to light, Dr. Hanna-Attisha was named by Time magazine one of the most influential people of 2016. Please join me in giving an extremely warm welcome to Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha.
Thank you. Thank you. I haven't even started talking. Thank you. Thank you. Hello and congratulations. And congratulations to family, friends, and faculty, all of you who are here today sharing in this amazing, amazing accomplishment. So let's get started. We have about 15 minutes, and I'm glad you're already all in gowns. Nobody got it. Like a doctor's visit, 15 minutes. Okay. Bam! Anyways, it wouldn't work out because I don't have enough lollipops and stickers for all of you anyway. So just kidding, dentists, we don't give out lollipops anymore. Sorry. In all seriousness, congratulations. I have been where you are right now, excited, anxious, nervous, and unbelievably happy. I sat and listened to my commencement speakers as you listened to me, and I felt the pride that comes with being part of something so great. And a lot of you are thinking how amazing it is to be graduating from, hold on, let me check my notes. Oh my God, Harvard, wow, this is amazing. Totally impressive, wow, okay, wow. The name alone will open doors. But I will tell you something. It is Harvard that is proud of you and proud of what you will do. And as much, absolutely. And as much as you are wrapped in the history and traditions and the legends of this place is only as great as you are and as great as you will be. And as this university rises, always on the shoulders of its graduates, this world and our world depends on the amazing work that you will all do. But first, I want to start with a question for you all and try to think of the answer in your head. Why did you choose this most noble profession? Why did you go to school for what seems like forever, and for many of you, the MD-PhD sounds like it is absolutely forever. And I hope the answer in every single head under those mortar boards is our patience. Patience that we are absolutely privileged to serve. And for me, as a pediatrician, it is our children. And I want to tell you, shout out to the pediatricians. Yeah, pediatricians. This guy's got a teddy bear, yeah. Awesome. And I want to tell you about one of my Flint kids. And her name is Nakala. And in the summer of 2015, she came to clinic for her 4-month checkup with her older sister, Riva. And Nakala's mom wanted to stop breastfeeding, and I urged her, like every good pediatrician would, to continue. But she said she had to go back to work. She was a waitress, and there was no place to pump except the restroom that all the customers used. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't afford to do anything that would jeopardize her job. As it was, she was having trouble making ends meet. So she planned to switch to formula mixed with tap water. mixed with our tap water, and she had some concerns. And she asked me at that doctor's visit, "Is the water all right?" Looking skeptical. I heard things. And then Riva, the 2-year-old sister, came up to me with her hand open. Kids love to distract a doctor who's giving total attention to a younger sibling. And I turned my full attention to Riva, and she gave me a torn scrap of paper with masterful crayon scribbles, and she put it in my open hand. And I said to Riva, "Thank you. I'm going to put this right here in my white coat pocket. And soon you will find that the purpose of your white coats is the pockets. Where else would we put our phones, chapstick, code cards, pen lights, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything goes in our white coat pockets. But it's also the place to store artwork by kids, if you're lucky. It's a place to hold the things that touch you and teach you and show you the way." So I sat Riva down on my lap, and I thought about the water. I'd been asked about it before, and I said to Nikola's mom, "Don't waste your money on bottled water," nodding with calm reassurance the way doctors are taught, lots of confidence. "They say it is fine to drink." And inches away, Riva, who was on my lap, was watching me closely. I smiled at her again. I gave her an extra squeeze, and then I set her down. And then I gave her mom another reassuring nod. The tap water is just fine. And it's hard for me to stand here and accept that I said that, because everyone here knows now that the tap water in Flint was not just fine. My story, the Flint, Michigan story, is about the unthinkable tragedy of people and children being poisoned by the most basic and necessary thing. It is a story of what happens when the very people responsible for keeping us safe and healthy care more about money and power than they do about the people they are charged to protect. But in the summer of 2015, I was a busy pediatrician, a residency director, a wife, a mom, juggling so many balls in the air like many of you will, trying to find balance. I was seeing patients like Nikola who would ask about bathing and drinking and mixing formula. And I was telling them all, of course the water is safe. I mean, how could our water not be safe? This is America, the richest country in the history of the world. It is the 21st century. There's rules and regulations. And you know those anonymous people in lab coats and test tubes who wake up every day to make sure that when I turn on the tap and you turn on the tap, wherever we are, the water is safe to drink. And it's also Michigan. Any Michiganders out there? There's a few. So show me your hand, guys. So we are the mitten state, right? So the state actually looks like a mitten. And why are we the mitten state? What are we surrounded by? Water, the Great Lakes. We are literally surrounded by the largest source of fresh water in the world. So how could our water not be safe? But I was wrong. I learned I was so wrong. I had been blinded. My eyes couldn't see what my mind didn't know. Doctors and dentists, each and every single one of you, are blessed with a gift that is fleeting and something you must pay attention to in the moment because it is only given once. Fresh eyes. Fresh eyes. You only get to see it for the first time once. Don't miss it. Don't waste it. In those first moments, you will notice things that will vanish the more times you see it. The shocking turns into the usual. The magical withers into the mundane the known, the accepted. Like the first time you do chest compressions on a child in the ED coding from a gunshot injury. The first time you order fluids for a diabetic in DKA because she could no longer afford her insulin. The first time you perform a full mouth extraction due to severe chronic periodontitis, like I'm learning these words for you guys, and gross dental caries because the patient never, ever had dental coverage. The first time you add measles to your differential for the kid with a fever and a rash. The first time you cradle an opioid-addicted baby to sleep. But in those first clean, clear moments, you get to see things through only your eyes, before the unthinkable has not only become the thinkable, but it's become the expected. It's become the norm. Your clarity of vision shows you the world how it should be, not the imperfect place that it is. As you spend your upcoming years on the front lines of health, hold on to those fresh eyes. Combine them with the tools and technology of medicine to make lives better. Focus them on the people in front of you, and don't forget to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Because when I finally took a step back, it was all around me. The signs were all around me, and I could not and did not see it until I studied it, until I knew it, until I knew it so well that I could not eat and I could not sleep, because by then I saw badness everywhere. Making others see it was a whole other thing. I ran up against systems built not to see, even when they knew. It was an indifference, a willful ignorance to certain people, places, and problems. In Flint, they told a population of predominantly poor and minority people to relax, that everything was okay. For a year and a half, while corrosive water leaching lead flowed through our pipes and into the homes and bodies of our families and children. It was preventable, but nobody stopped it. It was avoidable, but it happened. And no matter how hard and how scary it seemed, I couldn't close my eyes anymore. I could only go forward because no one else was coming. My doctor role quickly shifted from clinician educator to detective scientist to patient advocate. And I knew that if I was going to make a difference, I would have to prove that our children were in harm's way. And you all know that this is absolutely backwards. My research never should have been necessary. It never should have gotten to the point where the blood of our children had to be used as detectors of environmental contamination. Of course, our crisis never should have started, but it should have ended when that first mom raised a jug of brown water. And it definitely should have ended when we knew that there was lead in our water. And that is because lead is probably the oldest and most well-studied neurotoxins. And I would be remiss while here on the banks of the Charles River if I did not reflect on a giant who walked where you walk, who helped bring so much of this knowledge to light. A century ago, the nation's lead expert and really the mother of the field of occupational medicine was physician and social justice pioneer Alice Hamilton. Not Alexander Hamilton, Alice Hamilton. I know we hear, but you know what? They did have something in common. They did not throw away their shot. We'll get to that. So after graduating from the University of Michigan's medical school in 1893, Alice found herself in Chicago at the Hull House with Jane Addams, just Jane Addams, Alex Hamilton got mixed up. This is about women, okay. So where she found herself providing well child care and wraparound services to the poor and to recent immigrants. And it was there with her fresh eyes that she saw that many of the ailments presenting to her clinic were related to terrible working conditions and terrible exposures. For example, hatters that were coming in who had gone mad because of mercury poisoning. And then, exactly a century ago in 1919, she came here to Harvard, and she was your very first female professor of the entire university. Awesome. But that appointment came with several sexist stipulations. There was no admission to football games, no admission to the faculty club, and no admission to commencement. So it is so nice to see so many women faculty here. Let's have them stand and give them a round of applause. Where are the women faculty? None of you would be at your commencement without these guys, girls. Nevertheless, Alice persisted, and what I admire the most about her was her fierce advocacy for her patients here when she was at Harvard. Because during her time, General Motors was trying to convince our nation that lead in gasoline was a good thing, literally a gift from God. And Alice fought them with all her might, insisting that the introduction of lead in gasoline on a widespread basis would have a catastrophic impact on public health. And she was right. And at one time, it's reported that she confronted General Motors head engineer Charles Kettering in a hallway, and she said to him, "You're nothing but a murderer." This is cool, right? Medical history is really cool. This is like a drama. So from Alice, I learned about lead's toxicity. We all did. But more than that, I learned to use science and data to speak truth to power. Alice Hamilton took risks and bucked the status quo as she passionately and humbly fought for the most vulnerable among us. Her work was not about abstract scientific discovery alone. It wasn't just an academic exercise for the ivory tower to rack up publications and grants and offers of tenure. It was about people. Let her Harvard legacy serve as another reminder of what our work should be about. And for me in Flint, the work in front of me was clear. I had to work fast, around the clock, to truly see what was happening to my patients. And it took a combination of curiosity and clinical data pulled from our EMR to find the truth. And the truth was horrific. Yes, lead was increasingly in the bodies of our children, a potent, irreversible neurotoxin that we now know through incredible science has no safe level. And there wasn't a moment to spare. There wasn't time to ask for permission. This was an emergency for my kids, and I needed to react like a first responder on the scene. I needed to call a code. And I literally walked out of my clinic with my white coat on, and I stood up at a press conference behind a podium like this, but there's a stool here, so I was really short. And I shared the science, the evidence that our children were in harm's way, and I demanded action. And even as I offered up my facts, my research was met with denials and attacks. The state said I was wrong, unfortunate, and even hysterical. And for a quick minute, I regretted using my voice. I started to doubt myself. I was scared. There was a knot in my stomach that wouldn't go away. My heart rate was close to 200. Just like many have done, I started to diagnose myself with all kinds of different ailments, mainly endocrine and psychiatric. And I thought maybe I should have just minded my own business. I had an overwhelming sense of impostor syndrome, that I wasn't good enough. I felt small, smaller than my usual 5 feet. After all, I was just one pediatrician going against the most powerful forces in the state. But those thoughts were quickly replaced with the realization that this had nothing to do with me. Every single number in my research was a child, a kid, and children that as a physician I have literally taken an oath to protect. It was about Billy, who came to clinic with a sprained ankle, and Sasha, who always asks to use my stethoscope to listen to her heart. And it was about Jasmine, who at her 5-year checkup, when I asked her, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, I want to be 6 years old. Six. And it was about Nakala and Riva, whose masterful artwork is still in my white coat pocket. All the Flint kids I knew and saw, all the kids that I'd ever known and seen, and all the kids that I had yet to know and see, were jumping out of my spreadsheets, pushing me forward, giving me the courage to speak out against a system that wanted me to stay quiet. So I fought back with more data and more science, and also with patient stories. We have stories. I was loud and persistent, and a growing team of resistors was forming around me. Eyes began to open, and it became impossible to look away. And it took a while, but finally the man-made crisis was exposed, the state conceded, we went back on Great Lakes water, and most importantly, kids got protected. And since then, we have been building and sharing our model of hope and recovery. And as much as the story of Flint is a story of a crime committed with absolute indifference to some of the most vulnerable people in our country, it is a story of all of us, and that is why I am here today. It is about who we are and who we want to be. It is a story of medicine leaving the comfort zone of our hospital, our classrooms, our clinics, and walking into community, working hand in hand to challenge the status quo. One lesson that you must take from my story is that your degree grants you stature in your community. The doctor in front of my name was a megaphone for the kids of Flint, and I used it, and I became the voice of health. And in concert with a growing team, we changed the trajectory of an entire city. And I urge you, all of you, every single one of you, to be the voice of health. We are depending on you. We have been waiting for all of you. Our patients cannot afford to have the guardians of their health shut their eyes, look away, and stay silent to injustices that threaten their health. Pick your injustice. It's not hard to find these days. The credibility of science is under attack, from vaccines to climate change. There's so much work to be done. Regulations and public health agencies like the EPA are being dismantled. Too many children are born into poverty with ever-widening income inequality. Healthcare access for millions is out of reach and may swell. Rising drug prices stall treatment. There is a full-out assault on women's bodies and reproductive health today. Gun violence is epidemic, and our policymakers are bought. Slavery's legacy has morphed into mass incarceration. children in cages, separated from their parents and dying at the border. And like any malignancy, hate and racism and nationalism are spreading all over this world. This is all happening now, and it's making people sick, filling hospital beds, dropping life expectancies, and deteriorating our public's health. And this is why we need you. And this is why I am so absolutely hopeful looking out at all of you today. Use your fresh eyes to not only diagnose problems, but also to prescribe solutions. We are healers, and healing means getting Nikala and Riva the medical care they deserve, but also seeing beyond the obvious and addressing what truly makes families healthy and happy, like living wage jobs, income equality, affordable housing, nutrition security, restorative justice, clean air, clean water, and so much more. When you take that oath really soon, you are committing to be that healer, that protector. Sometimes that means being on guard for a city that is being poisoned. And sometimes that means being there for a person whose life is slipping away. Sometimes that means holding one tiny hand in yours. And sometimes that means holding the hands of an entire population. We cannot predict the path that will come before us. I never could have predicted mine. An immigrant who came from someplace else for something better. A doctor who was just doing her job. You are moments away from setting off on your own path. Hold on to those fresh eyes. Remember that your work is all about people, and it is about all people. Never forget who you are and the power that you now hold, and use it as it must be used for good, for people, for building a better world. Are you guys ready? That was awesome. Louder, are you guys ready? Good. Because there is no time to spare. It is time to get started. We have been waiting for every single one of you. Congratulations and thank you.